Hey, good people. Sammy Ashe here, Executive Director of the Ashe Academy and your host of our Inspire, Uplift, Engage podcast. I'm going to keep it brief. You already know to get your tickets for our Black Entrepreneur Expo and Mixer coming next week, February 20th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Central, and 1 p.m. Eastern via Zoom and streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and more. We have a silent auction that is live right now, so you can support us while getting a little something delivered to you. Especially look out for the book set full of Black authors. It's the perfect way to celebrate Black History Month. Link is in our description box. There will also be a master class annual pass giveaway. You'll be instantly entered to win if you're a donation ticket holder. Finally, it's Valentine's Day weekend, so love on yourself, your loved ones, be well, be safe, and take care. Now, let's get started with the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Ashe Academy's Inspire, Uplift, Engage podcast. I'm Sammy Ashe, the Executive Director. And today we are joined by Mevonnie Biggins. Thank you so much for joining us. She is a nationally recognized clinician, educator, and musician. She holds a master's in music education from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign and a Bachelor of Science in Music Education from Florida A&M University, where she served as principal clarinet in the Florida A&M University Wind Ensemble. Now, there is so much more. You have an illustrious career. We always see on your videos on social media that you have helped get scholarships for your students well into the millions. That is a great feat. So shout out to you. But I really just wanted to spend some time on your journey to the arts. So let's start there. Like, how did you get to, I don't want to say music, but like, where did you begin with getting into anything artistic?
Well, I was thinking about that lately, and I started with my grandmother. She was a self-taught musician, so no one else in my family had music experience except for my grandmother. So that was my first experience into music. So she taught me piano, and then I started learning piano, more rigorously for like about 5.5 years before I picked up a band instrument. So I started, playing band or what have you. Then I picked up clarinet and picked up trumpet, and I just got really good at it. And then it got to a point where I just didn't want to do anything else but play, you know. And it just kind of made it really simple for me, even going into college. That I actually got accepted at the FAMU. At Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Florida A&M, Rattlers, what? Highest of Seven Hills? What are you talking about? Okay. Sorry. I go
You had to
hard.
say that.
But
You had to say that.
when I got accepted in the fam, yeah, it's a real deal. Okay, what you said about fam? What? Excuse you? Okay, all right. They know you need to come correct. So I got accepted. I got accepted as a business major at the School of Business and Industry, and I was determined I was going to get a dual degree in business and music. And I was a freshman. I had just finished freshman orientation. We had just finished at marching band camp, which is called pre-drill for us. So I was meeting with the advisor to go over my classes, and I had like 19 hours as a freshman, and it looked bad from the outside, but it really wasn't that deep. I had a whole lot of music classes, and then I had my regular business classes. And the advisor, she just kind of sneered at it. She was like, "Oh, you're in that band, huh?" And I'm like, "What you talk about? What's wrong with that band?" It's like, "Well, you're in the School of Business and Industry now, and you're gonna have to drop a couple of those classes because you're just not gonna have time for that music stuff while you're here. So you're gonna have to drop that." I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, you have symphonic band." And I remember symphonic band in the fall was a 12:20 class to 1:15. It was a 45-minute class. So she's like, "Aren't you going to eat?" I said, "Well, I'd much rather play. I can just eat on the way to class." I was like, "I'd much rather play." So she's like, So she just
Oh my
kept
gosh.
sneering at my schedule. I'm like, okay, this lady tripping. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? I was like, and I asked her, I was like, well, why are you so offended when I have everything else on schedule? Like, you have intro to accounting, public speaking. What else was on my schedule? I remember it very distinctly because I remember making sure that I put all of my freshman business classes first. I got those scheduled first, and I
Hmm.
was able to schedule the music classes. And I thought I had the perfect balanced schedule. I was like, okay, I got everything there. And I remember walking out of her office, and I just felt so dejected. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. So I literally, the way the campus is set up, like I had to walk up the highest hill of the campus to go back to administration and say, you know what, we're gonna have to drop these classes because I'm not doing this. So I literally dropped my major in 20 minutes after that conversation. And I was a music major from that point forth, and I never looked back ever since. I did graduate with my minor in business though. I eventually took classes as I wanted to, but I just decided right then and there, I was like, okay, well, if I have to choose and this is how you're going to treat me as a business major, I'd much rather play. So I'll go ahead and go and major in music.
Oh. So what is it about music that feeds you? Because you're like, I just want to play, and you're picking up all these instruments. I'm like, I can barely deal with the piano that I so a short story. Sammy did take piano back in undergrad, and Sammy stopped taking piano once it became the full piano class because he did not practice. And you would get on me if I were your student. So back to you. Uh, what is it about music that really just like makes you not want to put it down?
Well, I was a very, as extroverted as I am about music, I was very introverted kid. I was always the child trying to fit in. I
Hmm.
remember growing up in elementary school, I just wanted to be a part. I just wanted to be accepted, so bad at any cost. And I just felt like I could not find a common ground. It's like, if it was the girls who knew how to dress well, I didn't have style, so I couldn't go in that group. If there was the guys who like to play basketball, I love sports, but I was a girl. They don't want to play with girls. I couldn't go into that group. If I wanted to sit with, this group, I just remember always being alone going through school. And when I found music, I realized that I quickly became the best player in the class, then the best player in the grade level, and the best player in the school, what have you. And I realized that, okay, I may have something here that's just mine. And I don't have to beg anyone to sit at their table. I just had a really big issue with self acceptance and wanting to be liked or wanting to be seen or wanting to be acknowledged. And it took a long time for me to realize that I don't need to sit at anybody else's table when I can build my own. And a lot of that through music, it gave me that opportunity to just build my own table. I can bring, no, I don't have to come to you. You need to come through me. All roads stop here. So as I started getting better on my instrument, I started like, getting these, landing these placements and things of that nature, that's where my confidence kind of grew because I was like, I felt like I was a cool kid in the band table. And even and then, if you think about it, Drumline had come out in 2001. So at that time, marching band was now a cultural phenomenon. It was now a mainstream thing. So it was cool to be in the band. You were no longer a band geek. You were band chic. That's what we called it. So being able to kind of matriculate during that time and really excel musically gave me a lot of confidence and gave me a lot of acknowledgement. Outside acknowledgement, I may admit, but it was something that did drive me a lot through those years as I played, as I learned how to play and master my instruments.
That's so weird that you mentioned a drum line because it really is a very like it did flip. Like you always think of it as the band geeks, but it's like, okay, drumline is not, there is not a geek in sight. Like it's it's really like, okay, someone that has mastered their craft, and you don't see them as like, oh, okay, they're just a nerd. So I think that that's awesome that you were able to come up during that time, and that's like a confidence booster for you. um from there, did you have any like notable teachers or mentors along the way?
Um, I actually didn't receive any private training growing up. it's what I always wanted. I always wanted to have private lessons. I always wanted to be able to work with someone one-on-one. And a lot of what I had to do was just like working in the band with my band directors, like, Mr. Robert Kahn. He was at Columbia High School for a number of years. He really was my first inspiration musically as an educator, because he was really passionate and very, very disciplined, very stern. Everything had a rule. Even when you walked into the room, there was like a time, it's like a ticking time clock. As soon as you walked in, you had 2 minutes to get your instrument, sit down, warm up, tune, get ready for the downbeat. It's like, and it's not something he ever says. He sat right in the middle of the band room, and no one tried him. Nobody came in there dragging their feet. Like, it was just that kind of respect you had for him. It's like, no, you're not gonna try him, because I didn't want to know what the other side was going to be. It's like, we didn't even want to know what would happen. And just like the kind of respect that he carried. And then, like, going through college, both of my clarinet teachers are deceased. Mr. Wallace Clark was my first private instructor for clarinet, but Dr. John Daniels, he studied at Indiana University. He studied with Klug when he was matriculating through Indiana. So a lot of what I learned as a musician came from him playing. And then Mr. Laundry New Parsons was my trumpet instructor when I was working on trumpet. And then I want to say Dr. Mary Roberts too. She taught class piano, which I passed because I practiced.
Oh, you gotta rub it in. You gotta.
But class piano is no joke though, because the clarinet, the piano professors, they do not let you slide. Like,
they sure didn't.
They're like, oh, you're gonna play these chords. You're gonna play all 4 fingers
and these scales,
or else, and the scales. Okay. I remember Dr. Roberts. I think we had to do the Star Spangled Banner. We had to transpose it in 4 different keys.
Oh my gosh.
We had to transpose it in 4 different keys as part of our class, because you have 4 rounds of class piano. And technically what I did is that the class piano 1, I actually did it in class piano 1. So I didn't have to take class piano 2, 3, and 4. So I was laughing at my colleagues because they had to kind of like struggle through the classes, because I actually I was able to opt out because I had already had the skills. I was able to transpose and do all that kind of stuff like that when I was in my freshman and sophomore year or what have you. But yeah, the piano professors, they do not, they don't play around. They're like, oh, you're going to learn this piano, and it's important too, because you never know. Like, I never taught chorus, but now I know what I would need to do if I had to teach chorus in public school. If I had to prepare a song for somebody, you need to know piano. So you know how to be able to prepare or arrange songs just in case something may arise, because you're typically the only content specialist in the building. So, as opposed to an English department that has 8 teachers, a history department that may have 7 teachers, a science department that may have 9 teachers, there's only one music educator. So you are the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega. Of course, you don't want to be the only source, but for a lot of things, you have to know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, then, how are you serving your students? So for us, they really impressed upon us the importance of, you are the source. You in that classroom, that child, you may be the only educator they ever have in music. They may never have any private lessons. They may never have another concert, but you are the only point that they'll ever have in music. So why not make your imprint indelible? Why not do your best by every child that comes through the door? And I think that's what made, my experience undergrad a little different, because they really impressed upon us the importance of educating your community. You are not just a teacher, you're a community leader. Your reach expanded beyond the classroom. And a lot of that training, a lot of comments I get is like, you're so energetic. It's because it's like, I get excited because when I'm like making my videos and stuff, I'm not teaching my classroom, I'm teaching the world. And all they see is like, if you talk to my former students, they're like, oh yeah, that's her. Yeah, yeah, she was just as crazy when she was crazier.
That is so powerful.
In class, it's like, you toned down now. But you teach to the world.
Well, so you have to know, I'm not one of your students. I know of you because of your videos. And we would have never known unless you put that video out. And I'm like, hey, I need to talk to her. Right. So I appreciate that. Teaching the world is awesome. So this is a perfect segue into how did Music by Mevonnie come to be?
I feel like for me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Let me tell you, I kind of ran away from it for a long time. So I told you that I majored in business and music, and then I ended up majoring in music and minoring in business. But the entrepreneurial part was always a part of me. My dad was a senior database analyst for Oracle. He was an Oracle man. He had his own consultancy. My uncle was in hardware, the hardware part of for oh my gosh, Uncle, don't crucify me. I keep for it's Microsoft, yes. The hardware, basically like installing like the major systems, the database frames and things of that nature. So he would do the hardware side, and I had just a whole lot of individuals in my family who would have and own businesses, and I was always intrigued by that. But I also had this passion for music, and I was always looking for a way to marry both. I wanted to be able to make my passion my business. And it was always a point of contention because, my dad and my uncles were like, well, no, you need to find where the money is. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't the money reside, quote unquote, where my passion lies? Hey, see that? No, okay, I got no bar. Okay. But, so with that, I kind of fought it. So a lot of times when I was a public school teacher, I was trying different things. Like I did want to do like a brick and mortar music academy. So I started that first, and that didn't really go too well. And I want to say it didn't go too well. It was just that, trying to find the funding to get a building. On top of that, getting the building, finding the students, finding the families to pay, to not only go to regular school, but then go to a private music school with that, the model just wasn't right. So then I turned into a summer academy. So that lasted for 2 summers. But still, again, the supply and demand, the need and the desire and the willingness to pay, those things that I was still learning in trial and error. So I stopped that for a while, and I kind of doubted myself and said, okay, maybe I need to do something else. So then I went into coding, and I was like, okay, well, maybe let me go ahead and create a website. So I started going into websites. I actually had a dog, and I did like a subscription box with my pet. And I went really hard with it too. We had some media placements and everything, but all of that work, and I only sold like 1 box, hand to God, like outright, like sold 1 box outright. And I'm sitting here like, okay,
that's how it is.
This is not
that's how these are the
that's
true
how it
stories,
is.
though. These are the true stories.
So it's like, I got down again, and then I went and I wanted to change my major. I wanted to leave music for a time and go into data science. So I was like, okay, well, I do like computers. I do like the code. So I was learning Python. I was learning I was doing all those type of things. And I never forget, like, I felt like I was a perfect candidate for this program where you would like learn how to code and you would end up with a job, one of those, camps or what have you. And I didn't get accepted. And I was just like devastated. I'm talking about, I did all the videos, I did everything. And we have a special guest,
Welcome
I did all
on
the
in the
videos,
room.
I did everything. And yeah, listen, you'll get everything here. I was like, I did everything, and for some reason it just didn't work out, and I was just super, super down. I was like, why can't I just leave this classroom? Like I was just so dejected, so just down. I was just ready to leave the classroom. And then I remember getting a call from one of my parents that had a referral for a young man. He wanted to learn clarinet. So I said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and teach him in my home. I was like, okay, well, I'll just teach him in my home. And then I just never forget the feeling, like when he got his clarinet and I showed him how to take it out the box. I showed him how to grease the corks and everything like that, put them together. And he got the sound. Like the hardest thing in the clarinet when you're first starting is like actually kind of like we call it crowing or a duck call, like getting the actual sound in the mouthpiece. And it's like he was like, and I was like, oh my God. I was like just bawling like a dork. He's like, well, Miss Biggins, why are you crying? I was like, oh, no, you're doing a great job. And I remember that feeling like, oh, yes, right? So I just kept teaching. Clarinets or what have you. And I would strictly just do clarinet, no trumpet. Because at the time I had been playing trumpet for a while. So I was like, okay, well, let me just focus on clarinet. Until, I had another call. And he and it was a grandfather. He wanted me to teach his grandson trumpet. And I was like, well, I don't really play that much anymore, what have you. And he's like, no. He's like, you're teaching my child trumpet. It's like, I know you. You played in the band. You can play. You need to teach my child. I was like, okay, fine. So here I am teaching, his grandson trumpet, and then after that, it just kind of grew to piano, and then it kind of grew to saxophone, and just kind of grew from there. And then I actually was teaching online virtually in 2018. I was teaching 2 years prior to the pandemic. So all of the quirks and kinks that I went through in 2018 put me kind of light years ahead, now. So that's where Music by Mevonnie kind of started, because I was like, okay, well, Music by Mevonnie, but I didn't want it to be this Mevonnie. I wanted it to be still the Academy, but personalized in the sense that it's my methodology, my curriculum, my way of getting children to be confident, creative, and competent, in music. And that's, how the road to Music by Mevonnie started.
Awesome.
My next musician coming there. I'm just gonna. So we gotta do this.
Protege.
Be quiet. You gotta be quiet. Yes.
So was it a no-brainer for you to work with children, or was that something that you had to work into?
Okay, so let me go in on adults a little bit. So I love the children, but see, the adults are like, can you teach adults? Can you teach adults? Let me tell you about yourselves. Y'all be so quick to learn how to play something. Teach me, Miss Biggins, teach me, Miss Biggins. And then after the second week, when y'all can't understand how to play with one finger, y'all quit. After 2-3 weeks. Let me tell you something. I got a problem with y'all. Talking about Miss Biggins don't work. No, life got in the way. No, I'm the life that's going to get in your way if you don't show up back to my class. Okay? So it's not that I don't teach adults. It's just like, what? This is what y'all going to do. I'm going to teach y'all in the summer for 6 to 8 weeks. Y'all going to show up to every class. You're going to play every note. And then after 8 weeks, then y'all can fly away. I kick out the nest, So so with them, it's like I make it very segmented. It's a very segmented cohort for the adults. Mm-hmm. Like the adults who are really serious about learning and wanting an outcome. And then they can go and they can either learn online, they can either learn with another teacher indoors, but it's not for a long-term segment. For the children, I'm very passionate about it because I think that learning the discipline of music gives them options. And that's why I always talk about, because my journey to music, because I like to play, I was able to get a full scholarship just because I knew how to play well. And I wasn't trying to get a scholarship. It was the fact that I played 2 instruments well. On top of that, graduating from high school with a 3.77 GPA. And both of those things kind of collided, and I had what were options. I was able to choose what I wanted to do. And I think that every child should have that option, particularly in this day and age with the student debt loan crisis. There are people who are going into debt just to learn. And if they could just learn a skill and be marketable to a higher education institution and not have to pay for college, then, how farther they could be, if we could do that for them. So I think I'm really passionate about the children is because I have a way to create a pathway for them. And I'm really intent and obsessive about it. And with the adults, it's more so reigniting their love for music and also reinforcing their commitment.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I think that that's a very powerful business decision to know your demographic and say, hey, I know the behavior of this certain segment. They're good for the 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm not going to not say waste your time, but you already know what is up with that demographic. So you get the 6 to 8 weeks. I will spend more time and I'll have more attention. And just it makes a lot more sense just teaching them earlier on and then having them set up for that success. Or over $7 million in scholarships. Shout out to you. Making sure that happens, because that is a true barrier for all the different milestones in your life. If student loans are holding you back, if you could knock that out of the way for people, then that's excellent. So back to business, since you're just a pastor in regards to this business acumen outside of music, what would you say is the best advice you've received regarding business?
I think the best advice I received was detach yourself from the result. Just do the work. It's not about how much you do, it's about doing the right things every day. So like you said about the videos, like once I decided, it's like, listen, I'm doing a video a day. That's just it. So a video goes out every day.
Oh my gosh.
I am going to teach twice a week. I'm teaching twice a week. I am going to, like this, we call it income producing activities, and not just income producing activities, but business structural activities, things that help build a business and not maintain a job, so to speak. And I think the most valuable, because I used to be really obsessive with the result. I used to just want the result. I just said, I want the result. I want the result. I want the result. And it's like, relax. Why are you so focused on the outcome? Just do what you're doing every day. So for me, it's like, again, it's all about alignment too, because there's this horrible meme that says teachers do it for the outcome and not for the income. And I'm like, if y'all don't take that thing out right now, I'm fighting whoever made that, whoever came up with that. It's hands on sight. Teachers do it because they're professional. Imagine telling a doctor you do it for the outcome and not for the income. If you don't pay me, are you serious?
Run me my money. Run me my money.
You better pay me.
Yes.
Run me my check, sir,
Exactly.
ma'am. That gets on my nerves. I was like, don't do that. I was like, I feel like, I'm about to get on my soapbox, because I'm like, as educators, we change lives. We mold the most impressionable beings on the planet. We build the doctors and the lawyers and the educators and the engineers and the leaders and the thought leaders and the business executive. We built those people, and that deserves a level of respect that I just don't think in this country we really acknowledge, in a sense. We want to make it seem as if it's that they just came to themselves. No, for every good student, there was a passionate teacher who groomed that student, a passionate group of teachers who cared, a passionate group of schools that nurtured, a passionate group of districts that understood. So I think, with that being said, it's like, I think the most valuable thing that I realized is don't be detached from the outcome and knowing your value. That was the hardest thing for me in business, was understanding my value, because in public education, it's almost like systemically, we're systemically beaten down to say that we are not worth what we are paid. We're not worth what we teach, to the point where we can't teach what we can't teach with the methods we created. I know when I was in undergrad, we had to create our own lessons. We had to take lessons and make them into our own. Now I'm hearing that you got to teach from a template. I'm like, what? No, I create my own template. What's the outcome? What's the no understanding do? What do you want the students to do? I got that part. Why are you telling me what to do? It's like that kind of micromanaging of the profession is what scares me, because now you're taking the professionalism out of education, and now you're making us like frontline workers. No disrespect, but we're not frontline workers. We're the professionals. We're the ones who are in that room 7 hours a day. And, how dare you tell me how to do my job when I have 30 individual people, and as a band director, 100 individual people with over 13 instruments, and I have to teach to an outcome. Yeah. So I just think that along those lines, teaching as a business person, as a Edupreneur, as you call it, knowing your value. I am valuable. And there are people out there who say, well, Miss Mevonnie, well, you just teach music lessons. Well, you go ahead and find you a music lessons teacher, because I'm not that one. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm not upset with you. But if we're just not in alignment, we're just not in alignment. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to prove myself to you that I'm capable of imparting it to your child. You have to present yourself to me as if why you are in alignment with my goals and my ideals and my outcomes, and see if we can work together, and having that shift, I think that was the most impactful thing as a businesswoman, of knowing that value, and then detaching yourself from the outcome, because the outcome is the outcome. It doesn't change. As long as like I set my mind for the outcome and just do the work, the outcome comes eventually. Because guess what? Once you reach that goal, you're going to have another goal that you're going to want to achieve too. So now you got to become something else to achieve that goal. So I feel like it's a cyclical being. You're always becoming something
Mhm.
to be the goal that you reach, you know? So this is kind of like taking myself out of the equation and stop trying to control it, you know, and just enjoying the process is what helped me a lot.
Awesome. I mean, to your point of that, like, gonna commit to a video a day or teaching regularly, that frequency, us making sure that we stuck to the content, like this podcast has been a key to our success, fundraising and whatnot in 2020, a terrible year for many people. So it just speaks to, if you're doing the work and you're not worried about how much we will be able to bring in, but the people will be able to impact, that super, just everything we needed and more happened just by focusing on who we're impacting. So
Yeah,
thank you
it's
for
a
that.
game
Thank you
changer.
for
Like when
that.
I stopped trying to look for people and I just I'm just going to teach. So I get up every day and I do exactly what I know I'm set out to do. And I just think that it's very freeing to have that kind of, to not worry about what is coming next or who is coming next. No, they'll find me. They're looking for me. There are families out there who are praying for a teacher like me and my staff to be in their lives. They're looking, actively seeking this type of instruction. Why should I ever be in desperation for something that is not meant for me? You know? So this
Absolutely.
understanding that and really just leaning into it and knowing the certainty of it, that I'll never be without. You know, as long as I stay true to what I'm called to do and how I'm able to change lives through music, then I'll never be without. You know, all I have to do is continue to do the work and just show up every day and do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's go on the flip side. What is some of the worst advice that you have received?
um, some of the worst advice that I've received is that you have to be referred, or people have to know you, or you have to be chosen. There's a
Hmm.
lot of elitism in my world, you know, that if you're not in this clique, or if you're not chosen by this person, or if you're abandoned to play on this stage, or if you're students that make this group, you know, or if you didn't go to this school, then you're not competent as a teacher. And I think that you know, that the good old boy system, you know, if you're not one of the boys, if you're not in that in the know, so to speak,
Hmm.
then you're irrelevant to the industry at large. And I think the worst advice I received was subscribing to that system. And what I have noticed, particularly in the past year, is that our industry is changing. Is that you know, it used to be people trying to move to the quote unquote perfect neighborhood. Now that we're in this medium, people are just looking for the best teachers. You know, they're not caring what school you went to. They care about how can you help my child. You know, they're not caring about, you know, who you're affiliated with. How can you help my child? And we used to complain about it in public school about, you know, school choice and vertical alignment, and you know, parents making individual decisions regarding where they're going to go to school next or what have you, because we would never know who we would get. It used to be, if you're in this elementary school, you go to this middle school. You're in this middle
Hmm.
school, you go to this high school. You could chart out what came next in your program. Now, since you know, again, education's at your fingertips, you can curate those experiences. And what I realized is that once I understood that it was no longer about referrals, or it was no longer about the neighborhood you taught in, it was no longer about the school you went to, or it was no longer about who knew you and who could, like, you know, scratch your back and scratch yours.
Hmm.
It really literally is open for anybody to just step up and say, hey, I'm just going to be a good teacher and that's it. Then I think that's what helped me out. Yeah, but I do think that elitism, that condescension of, you know, who are you and what have you done, and where have you played, and what have you spoken on, or what stages have you been on, or what have you, that does exist in our industry, that I feel like I subscribed to for a long time, and it held me back because I was
Hmm.
looking for the next approval. I was looking for the next yes. I was looking for the next gatekeeper to accept me so that I could move, instead of saying, I'm moving. whether you like it or not, you know?
Message. Come on. See, I call people pastor as a term of endearment. So you got called pastor in my head earlier on.
I play Harry.
Oh yeah, yes. Listen, I'm a 3 listen, toddler mom here. Mom.
Shout out. Now, I would like to ask you, outside of music, and maybe not business either, but what brings you joy? Like aside from the arts or like your businesses.
Well, you can hear what brings me
I was
joy.
about to say, it's overhearing your joy.
Yeah, you're pretty much hearing and seeing. You're pretty much hearing and seeing my joy. Just being able to have the freedom to spend time with my son gives me joy. To not be so rushed to get to a school, I can actually have breakfast with him and talk. And like for the last 16 years, I was always rushing to get to the school by 7:15 or 7 o'clock or get on. Like I was just literally like my clock was scheduled to the school clock, and like now in this realm, is the joy for me is to be able to have choices and have peace and be able to live. What brings me joy is reading good books, reading good books in the middle of the day. What brings me joy is being able to, talk to my son about his day without having to rush to go to band practice. What brings me joy is being able to talk to him and say he needs to go to bed because it's 9 o'clock. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's for me, I don't require much. It's little things.
I will say this is the perfect opportunity to segue into our final Q&A. So, who is your biggest inspiration?
It's horrible. I'm gonna say the students. I'm gonna say all the students I've taught over the last 15 years. Every single one of them. I feel like the ones who didn't get it the first time, that I had to spend hours trying to figure out why they couldn't play this note correctly. The ones who got it quickly but didn't know how I could get them motivated. The ones who gave me crap, and y'all know who you are. Give me a hard time, right? It's okay though. It's okay, because some of y'all parents now y'all see. Okay, y'all should have been nice to me back then. Mm-hmm. So I think who inspires me the most are the students that I've taught, because a lot of the curriculum, a lot of what I write and what I create came from the pain points of not being able to reach them the way that they deserve to be reached. For a long time, I believed in teaching the way I was taught. And I think that probably would go into the worst advice I received, is teaching the way I was taught. And the shift for me happened when I taught the way they learned and didn't judge it. So like ever since I got that, I just teach the way they learn. And I don't care how they get it. Oh, so you listen to trap? Okay, let's go. That's minor keys right there. Let's go. Okay, fine. What you got? Also, okay, let's go ahead and go back to this though. Being able to equate different genres with the respect that they deserve in a way that they learn classical music with the same reverence as they do trap or as they do R&B or any kind of medium, being able to show the connections between all of those things. That came from students. That came from kids, real kids who did not want to sit in a music class because they're like, okay, I'd rather go somewhere else. And I had to figure out a way to reach that child who didn't want to pick up an instrument, but was assigned to my class. And I just come from a school of thought that you teach who comes through the door. And that's what makes public school different. We don't get to pick and choose who we want. You teach who comes through the door. And I think every child that came through my door, I am thankful for them. I'm thankful for the lessons they taught me and making me better, so that the next student who came through the door got a better experience of the educator that I'm here, that's here now. The more patient me, the less aggravated me, someone who understood that, just because you were upset it wasn't towards me, it was because you didn't have breakfast. And now I bring, biscuits with me. So just in case you just need something to eat, you're a little hangry. Okay, here, go ahead. Just knowing that goes a whole long way, for an entire classroom. So I just want to give a shout out to all the students that had Miss Thompson and now Miss Biggins. I love y'all. Hit me up. So I do keep up with most of my students, particularly my high school students. They've now graduated or what have you. I think my elementary school students, they're like in 5th grade now, and I think the 5th graders are now like in 10th grade.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. I feel like your approach to meeting people where they are is a major like combat to that elitism as well. Because there's like, oh, it's only classical. Like if you don't know classical, but if you could bridge the gaps of like, okay, there is classical, but there's also trap. We can learn both. Make sure that you get that classical training as well. But there are elements of classical within other genres. So that's beautiful. Appreciate it. We need more educators like you. Now, who do you hope to, we kind of have already heard it, but who do you hope to uplift with your work?
Okay.
I hope to uplift parents with my work. I think a lot of times, parents who don't have musical experience, they don't know, they feel like they just have to kind of like lay it on the teacher. I was like, no, I can teach you too. So it's like a lot of my secret weapons, like I like to teach the parents how to read and support their kids in music too, even if they don't have any musical experience. So, I it's like, yes, I'm after the child, but I'm also after the village that surrounds that child, because it's part of the success mechanism for the child. So just being able to reach the adults that are in that child's village is something that definitely I like to help uplift too as well.
You know what? That's actually the reason why I reached out to you.
Really?
That is what was like, I need to talk to you, because I feel so strongly that the support system and those parents and guardians are just as important as the student learning something, because they need to know, they need to be empowered as well within all these career paths. Like, hey, this is something you could go into as well. This is something you can learn. It's not just the kids. Your life is not over after a certain age. Like, you can pick up new things. So love that. Absolutely. Now, the final question is, how do you stay engaged with your motivation?
With my personal motivation?
Yes.
I am not good with that. I gotta get rest. I feel like I'm always doing something,
Mommy. Mommy, I get Harry a hug.
Okay, good. Well, let me. I think you've done enough with Harry. I think Harry.
I think I need to pull his legs.
No, don't pull his legs. No, he's a puppy. He's a baby
I
dog.
don't want Harry.
No. Let me hold Harry for a second, okay? I'll see you later, okay?
I want
No. So I think for me, being a mom, wife, entrepreneur, what have you, I think that sometimes I fall into the trap of trying to be Superwoman. So I think with that being said, like, how do I get my motivation? I really just have to make myself stop and rest. And the reading for me is what gives me the motivation, and like the listening to good music, reading about instruction. I feel like my happy place is curriculum and design, like designing curriculum for children. That's my happy place. So that's what gives me motivation, because I'm like, okay, well, if a student's not getting it, it gets me excited, because I'm like, I don't get dejected. I'm like, okay, why? Why are you not getting it? And that just gets my gears going. I'm like, okay, a problem. And they're like, why are you so happy? Like, can't you see? This is an opportunity, you know? They're like, this lady's crazy. I'm like, crazy for results, you know, that kind of thing. You know? So I think what motivates me first is I just need to take care of myself and get rest. And just having a stop and a start. And engaging a team. You know, that's which is my next area of growth is not just myself as an instructor. You know, I'm actually onboarding additional instructors as well to the
Awesome.
program to, you know, to not only help impart and impact, but also to bridge. Because I mean, I want to be able to teach thousands of students a year. You know, my goal is to have students in all 50 states, you know, attending this academy, you know, and be able to even branch out to other countries, you know, eventually. You know, so that's going to take more than just one person, you know, teaching students. So I think for me, what motivates me is being able to rest and be able to strategize, and more importantly, being able to think and read. And I think that's what the motivating part about it is. Like, as a CEO, your job is to think, gather resources, read, design. You have to be in design mode all the time, you know? So me becoming that person where I'm not doing the work, I'm designing the frameworks to which my team actually is able to, you know, do the work. It's what motivates me, you know, this time.
Beautiful, beautiful. I was going to ask, what is next for you? That sounds like the big picture is to go above and beyond and build out your team. But like, what's like a next step? What's something we could look out that's coming soon?
Oh yeah, okay. So I can definitely say what's coming next is that we want to take the show on the road. I want to have parents who want to know what it's like to be on the inside of a Music by Mevonnie classroom, to have that opportunity. So we're going to do some virtual music intensives where, you know, if you want to learn how to play piano or learn how to play a wind instrument, they can sign up for a day and they can come and they get taught. And then from there, they can, like, you know, apply to be a part of the academy. You know, so, you know, definitely be on the lookout for that. And of course, I'm teaching my adults, listen, don't be coming to my door talking about you want to learn how to play piano. And then you'll quit. I will find you. That grinds my gears.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna learn Miss Biggins. I've always wanted to learn how to play. And then you don't last 2 meetings. I will find you. I have a certain set of skills that are designed to find people who waste my time talking about they want to learn how to play piano and they quit. I will find you. I will pull you back into the Zoom room and I will make you finish. Okay, sorry. I just went to another space. You know. So the adult class is coming. So for those who've been asking about adult class, show up and stay for the entire 8 weeks and play my notes and learn my songs and be happy and go out and be prosperous. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. I like to fuss at the adults because they know they're right. They know they're wrong. They know they are.
And the thing is that you don't want to just
day.
You just don't want to take that deposit. You want to actually teach people. So that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna keep your deposit. It's non-refundable, but I want you to learn. I want you to learn.
You know, for real. Like, yeah. Oh, you're not gonna waste my. Oh, I'm gonna get paid. You're gonna pay me, but still, you need to get this lesson. You know, what's the point? And think about it. Like, you know, think about a designer like me. I'm designing all these I'm designing the framework and songs. I'm researching, and then you're not gonna show up, bruh. We really gonna have some words. Oh yeah.
All right.
Adult class is coming. I do 2 adult class. So the adult class is coming for I do two adult classes. So definitely when the doors open for application for that, you know, definitely if you're interested, definitely swing on through.
Perfect. So for those adults, those parents, and those kids, how do they get in contact with you to become a student?
Oh, awesome. All they have to do is go to www.musicbymevonnie.com/teach-my-child. And Mevonnie is spelled on all of my social media pages, MEV as in victory, ONNIE. 2 N's, 1 I, 1 E. musicbymevonnie.com /teach-my-child. So I definitely drop the link there. And that's like the first way of access of being able to to work with us. Definitely look through all the content. Those who I teach regularly every day on my social media channel, definitely click the link and schedule a music discovery session with me so we can go ahead and talk about your needs and see if we are a good fit to work together. And that's for children the ages of 5 through 15. I do have students as young as 4, but definitely 5, no older than 10th grade, no older than 15 years old. And definitely adults twice a year for our adult Intro to Piano Intensive, which happens later on this spring and then also in the summer.
Perfect. This was Mevonnie Biggins, an excellent guest. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you so much. I am Sammy Ashe, the Executive Director of the Ashe Academy. Thank you once again for joining us for the Inspire, Uplift, Engage podcast. Take care. Bye. Thank you.